Arc System Works has teamed up with Bandai Namco to bring you Dragon Ball Fighterz, and it's finally here. This review is coming from a place of not a professional fighting game player, but just a huge fan of Dragon Ball and a huge, more casual fighting game fan. I like to think that I'm a little bit more than casual, especially with some games like Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat X, but I am not going to be your professional ridiculous frame data person. So if you're just looking from a perspective of a more grand general audience, then these are my thoughts on Dragon Ball Fighterz. Let's start with the most important thing, gameplay. Because this game is a Dragon Ball fighting game versus more of Arc System Works' other fighting games like Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear, other people might be bringing in people that aren't familiar with fighting games at all. And I think Arc System Works did a really good job of creating this game from a really technical, competitive standpoint, but introducing that to a more general audience by making things a little bit more stripped down, a little bit more basic, but really, really, really deep. And if you really put your time into it, then this game can become crazy. They have followed the trend of a lot more recent fighting games where you can just mash square or X or mash triangle or Y, depending on if you're on PlayStation or Xbox, where you can do a simple combo like that. So you right away, even if you're just playing in a party or if you are just starting out with the game, then you can do some cool looking combos at the beginning, but you'll learn right away that if that's all you're going to stick to, then you're definitely not going to get very far against someone who spent some decent time with the game. And what I mean by stripped down and less technical is, aside from just being able to mash a light attack or medium attack and do a simple combo that way, there's still really deep and intricate combos in the game if you're willing to string those together and create something like that. And then that's how you're going to be doing more damage than a basic player just mashing that one button over and over again. But in terms of special moves, none of the inputs are that complicated at all. Like, you're not really going to be doing any crazy Z moves like in Street Fighter. The analog stick is obviously still used, but just not as complicated as Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom or Blaze Blue or games like that. So, but how Dragon Ball FighterZ stays competitive is with the neutral game that caters heavily towards skilled fighting game veterans. So like instant air dashing and fast dash speed, knowing what beats what in every situation, the variety of tools that you have at your disposal, that's the kind of system that rewards players that know what they're doing. They know that they have their situational awareness about them, conditioning your opponent, and then having those fast reflexes just to win when nothing else is really happening while somebody isn't attacking. So even though the combos and inputs to do moves are easier than your average fighter, this game is far from casual. My only worry is that someone finds a way to exploit these easy-to-use commands, easy-to-use combos, and just find something that's really simple to do and just do it over and over and over and over again and ruin the experience that way. So I haven't ran into that yet, but I'm sure, of course, this is the internet and people will do anything and everything to win, no matter how fun the game isn't at that point. So that's just one thing I'm worried about, is there's so many easy things to do. I'm sure some of it is going to be spammed to death eventually. Hopefully with updates, they might be able to fix something like that. But for now, just that opportunity is there, and that hurts it just a little bit. Dragon Ball is a 3v3 fighting game similar to Marvel vs. Capcom, and tagging out your characters and having them come in for assists and all of that is very integral in the fighting mechanics of the game. You can extend combos, you can call in for supers, and it's just a lot of fun to put in all these different teams and characters, like teaming up Goku with Vegeta and Beerus, or Goku and Boo and Cell, or have a big villain team with Boo and Cell and Frieza. Just all these combinations create these awesome dream matchups, and just the whole first few days you're playing this game, you just have such this wonder of this awesome technical competitive fighting game set in the Dragon Ball universe that looks exactly like the show. I'll get more into the visuals in a moment, but just having it all, you just get hit with this sense of awe that this is even happening. Back when I was a kid, and the Budokai and the Budokai Tenkaichi series are both really, really cool. And as I'm younger, it's fun, and going through the story mode is a lot of fun, but there's just something more serious in a good way about this game. And I can't stress that enough, is just how much fun it is to just play this game. Even without, it's still really new. I didn't get into too many of the betas. I didn't get this game that early, so I haven't had time to learn crazy combos and dig too deep into the game yet. But once I get into there, I know that I'm just going to unlock a whole new level for this game. But just at the start, just the first thing that kept getting pounded over and over and over is just how much fun I was having while I was playing this game. And as a video game, you really can't get any better than that. So for gameplay, I'm going to give Dragon Ball Fighterz an A. Now moving on to the visuals and the audio, one of the first things that sticks out is exactly how much like the anime this game looks. It's beautiful, really similar to the South Park games, The Stick of Truth and The Fractured Butthole. It looks just like you're watching an episode of the anime in the game, with the story mode and with not just the cutscenes, but actually when you're playing, as you can see from all your gameplay clips here in that first initial trailer that blew everybody away back at E3. Huge explosions and destroying the environments looks awesome. How they get beat up and they're ripping at the clothes of the characters looks really, really good. Everything about the game just looks great. The menus flow really well together. The UI looks really nice and crisp. The health bar looks really cool. Even just everything about this game just screams cool and screams Dragon Ball, most importantly. And then sounds, of course, they have the voice actors. I am biased to the English version, of course, with the dubs, and all of the great voice actors are there. They're all sounding great. They're all looking great. The sound effects for everything looks beautiful. Playing on it with the surround sound system just sounds so crazy, with so many things happening on screen at once, but it never ever gets too clogged up. There's never too much happening on screen, even though with Dragon Ball, it's known for its crazy over-the-top fights. Arc System Works did a great job of keeping everything manageable with its 2.5D style, where you have, you're fighting on a 2D plane, but then the camera can turn around and cut really quick to show off a really cool special move. None of it is too much. It all flows really, really well together. It never breaks up the flow of the fight. And like I said, it just looks and sounds so beautiful. So really, really well done there. The game does look beautiful on my PS4 Pro. I never, ever, ever have any noticeable frame rate drops, which of course is essential for a fighting game. So for visuals and audio, I'm giving Dragon Ball Fighterz an A. Next, I want to talk about the completeness of the game. Unfortunately, in 2017, it became a trend to ship games. I guess it's kind of happened before 2017, but it became a trend to ship games that were definitely not complete. 2017 was definitely the year of the loot box, so I'm going to include that in this as well. Dragon Ball Fighterz comes shipped with 21 characters, which I think is a really good number. There aren't huge people left out from the series, at least from the canon series of Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. It's actually great to see some inclusions from Dragon Ball Super, like Beerus, Hit, and Goku Black, who was just introduced in the series, at least in the English dub, this past week. So that's really cool to see it that updated. I know he's been around in the Japanese version for a long time, but I've always been more partial to the Dragon Ball English dub. So for me, he's a brand new character, and it's awesome to see him in this game. And there's going to be 8 more characters coming at a later date for DLC, so I'm excited to see who that's going to be. With game modes, there aren't too many crazy game types, but online you have, of course, your normal ranked match and unranked match. You can join in a lobby and watch people fight and, compete against, see who beats who, and then compete against, kind of King of the Hill style game mode, but you have multiple games going at once, which is really cool. It's a great setup there. Offline, you have your story mode, which I haven't had too much time to go with the story mode yet, but from what I've played so far, it's really enjoyable. And I've heard it's actually pretty long, at least for a fighting game story mode, compared to maybe Mortal Kombat, which only has a 3 or 4 hour story mode. I've heard that this one is considerably longer than that. And of course, you have your regular arcade mode, as every fighting game should have, and then your typical versus mode there with training modes as well. So as far as game modes go, everything that you expect to be in a fighter is in here. So there aren't anything lacking from this game that I would say feels unfinished. I'm definitely getting that sense of a complete game with this, which unfortunately in 2018 is a thing that I have to applaud Bandai Namco for. There are loot boxes though, unfortunately. They're only cosmetic, which I know for a lot of you people means it gets a pass. I still do not like loot boxes in any way, shape, or form, so just cosmetic is still just unfortunate to see. There are capsules in this game, which of course it's Dragon Ball, so you've got to have the capsules in there somehow. They've turned them into loot boxes, so you can just unlock things like that, avatar stuff for the lobby online, costumes, just, you know, things like that. Just cosmetic. So for those of you that don't mind, it's there. For those of you that do mind, yeah, it sucks, it's there. But they're not too intrusive, and I guess that's just something for now that we're gonna have to live with until hopefully they go away forever. But enough on the bad. For a complete game, it definitely feels like a complete game, but the loot boxes being in there brings it down. I'm gonna give this one a B+ for completeness. So those are the 3 main points I wanted to cover between gameplay, audio, visual, and how much of a complete game it feels like with this one. So, but I want to close out by just giving a final overview, a few thoughts of it. I'm absolutely loving this game as a casual, wanting to be more of a hardcore, maybe not pro level, maybe someday, fighting game fan, and a massive, massive Dragon Ball fan for basically my whole life. If you're looking for just a great, fun Dragon Ball game to get into, this is definitely the one. I personally think it's the best Dragon Ball fighting game that they've ever put out, anybody has ever put out. It brings me back that nostalgia of the Budokai series, but then it adds in that competitive fighting game, technical gameplay that fans basically have come to expect from the fighting game community in 2018. I wanted to get into a little bit more detail with all the little intricacies of the game, but I think those are kind of more fun to be seen on your own, especially with this game being packed with a ton of Dragon Ball Easter eggs, and these past 9 minutes have already flown by. I don't want to make too long of a video. I'm going to be putting up a ton of Dragon Ball content, so if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Overall, I am grading this holistically, so I know I gave it an A for a couple things and a B+ for something, but I'm not going to just put that all together into a final grade point average. But just as an overall game, how I'm feeling about this one while I'm playing it, I'm giving Dragon Ball Fighterz an A-. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'm out.